Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Retro Channel. This is part 2 of the Atari 65XE repair. So if you haven't seen part 1, I'll give you a quick rundown. There was a RAM chip that was getting extremely hot. I think I used a different term for that in part 1. And there were also a few data and address lines that seemed to be stuck high or sometimes in between, which pretty much matched up with either the Sally CPU or the Antic graphics chip. They both share the same data and address lines that were having issues. So I went out on a limb, because I don't actually know that much about the Ataris at this point. I went out on a limb and ordered a new CPU, which is actually a lot older. It's got copyright Atari 1980, whereas this one, the date code is 8723, so week 23 of 1987. So quite a difference, but it should still be compatible. So let's swap out the CPU. I should mention I was getting a black screen, so nothing at all seemed to be happening. And yeah, hopefully this CPU will give us something, but there's only one way to find out. So let's swap the CPU over and see what happens. Okay, moment of truth. We have a ready prompt. Awesome. That's kind of a relief because, yeah, like I said, I'm not that familiar, so I was hoping it was the CPU, and yeah, it looks like it is. So I picked the right part to order. All right, well, I guess we hook up the keyboard and test that out, see how we go there. These keyboards have a fairly flimsy ribbon flex cable, which tend to become brittle, so you do have to take some care when handling them, especially inserting and removing them. Yeah, it's got a full metal backing plate, so I can't really rest it on top of the Atari, so I'm just going to hold it and we'll power it back on and just see. Yes, we've got some keys working, that's good. Well, the number keys were working, but not a lot else. The whole... Yeah, okay. I think the majority of keys aren't working. I'll see if I can boot it up into the test program, which I think is done by holding down the Option key and powering on. Yep, okay. Self-test. I guess we hit start. Alright, so we'll wait for the memory test to complete and see how that goes, but we will have to sort out the issue with this keyboard. Alright, finally the memory test is done and everything passed, so that's a good sign. Let's see if we can run some of the other tests, which I may not be able to because I get the feeling the other keys are not... Oh, hang on. I did manage to get back. I managed to get back to the main menu, but now I can't. Reset or help to exit. Come on, one of these has got to work. No, I'm just going to power off. Power back on, see if we can get back to that diagnostic menu. Alright, select. Oh, yeah. So at least select and start seem to work, so we can test. We can't really test that because I don't have the audio plugged in. That's not going to do much. Right. Try that again. Right, let's see if our audio is working. Okay, cool. So the 4 voices all seem to work. There we go. I managed to get back into the main menu. Keyboard. Well, this is one that I know is not going to go very well, but let's try anyway. So delete and break and escape don't work. Tab doesn't work. Q, W, E, R, T, Y, U, I, O, P. Dash equals return. Control, A, S, D, F, G. Oh, J works. And K, L. And some of the bottom row seems to work, but not even the spacebar works. So yeah, definitely a big issue with this keyboard. It probably shouldn't be too surprising given the state that it's in. Oh yeah, the shift key fell off at some point. Yeah, it's very rough and full of dirt and shit. So I'll pull all these tiny little screws off and we'll take a look inside and see what's going on. Okay, the membrane is sticking to the keys and it is dirty as hell. Right. Oh, that's the plunger for that key. Shift. Well, it's quite a mess. There's even crap stuck in here. And yeah, the membrane is just dirty as all hell. This thing's clearly been living outside somewhere for a little while. Just try and carefully remove it. Oh. Now, I'm hopeful that this just needs a clean, but I'm leaning towards some of these traces being broken, and yeah, these membranes are pretty hard to repair once you have broken traces. But I'll clean it up and obviously clean up all these contacts, and we'll try it out, hope for the best, but it's not looking good for this membrane given the state that it's in. Alright, so yeah, even after a good wipe down, it's still looking pretty rough. Hopefully I haven't taken too much carbon off these contacts, but I don't think it's going to make that much difference at this point. I don't think there's much hope. Still, we will persist. Now, if I can get these to push down enough, then I can just simply wipe over them without taking all these plungers out. So they sort of extrude from the case just enough to wipe them over. This work. I think like that. It does need a spring, but at least it's being held in. In fact, the other shift key probably needs a spring too. Never mind, we just want to see what happens. But yeah, this looks pretty rough, and even some of the crap that was stuck on there is still stuck there. Anyway, let's give it another test. Obviously this will need a proper cleanup, but I want to see if I need to order a new membrane before I get too carried away. Where's my backing plate? Wipe this out before I put it back on. All right. So just thrown in sort of every second screw for now, because chances are I'm going to need to pull this apart again in the near future. Let's get the rest of the case back. Oh yeah, and if you haven't seen it, this is what at least the bottom half of the case looks like. Which is just as gross and disgusting as the rest of the computer at the moment. I think there's little tabs on this RF shield to... You know what? RF shield. That's better. This little notch over here won't quite poke through. Oh, there it is. Just a tight fit. And here's the other half of the RF shield. Again, goodbye. Well, clearly it's been a while because I can't even find the top half of the case. So, that's okay. We'll go without that for now. This is a pain to put back in without breaking it. Okay, I just wanted that just so I don't have to worry about the keyboard pushing down on something underneath. All right, let's test this out again and see if the keyboard works any better. Probably not. Maybe slightly. Who knows? Oh, it still powers on, that's good. Let's just test it here. So I know this row wasn't working before, and yeah, it's still not working. I'd say that membrane's shot from the look of it. I think maybe a couple of keys are working better, but yeah, definitely not enough to make this usable. Shift keys stuck down. That doesn't help. Oh, the other one's missing the little bar. It's a big old mess at the moment. Poor thing. Oh, the help key works again reliably. Yeah, it's still completely shot. I think a new membrane is definitely on the cards, which sucks. Okay, so with the help of this little keyboard matrix printout, which I'll put a link to in the description, I did manage to find quite a few broken traces and figure out where they were. And after that, I just went around with this, which is called a circuit scribe. It's basically a conductive ink, which you can draw out simple circuits with. It does claim to be 1 ohm per centimeter. I don't know how true that is. I think it does require a little bit of time to dry, but I pretty much went around and found all the broken traces. I think I found all of them anyway, and just sort of used the pen to just reconnect them. Obviously this isn't perfect, and I probably will still have to order a new keyboard membrane because these just, they just fall apart, and the traces break over time. So, but that's about 60 Australian dollars, I think, to get it shipped here. So at the moment, I just want to see if I can fix it up enough to get it working. And I was curious to know if it could be done at all. So let's give it another try, and I guess we'll see how successful I am. Don't hold out too much hope. Oh, escape works. Didn't work last time. Oh. Backspace works. Is there a spot for brake? How do you test for brake? I think that might be the one on the top right is for brake, maybe. Tab works. QWERTY. Return. Still nothing from control, but the second row of keys looks to be working. We can test these. No, I can't test those out because I left the plungers out. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's what that one is. Brake doesn't seem to work. Actually, brake does seem to work. Maybe there's just not a thing in the keyboard test for that. So maybe control works as well. Oh yes, it does. Okay. Control also works, so I'm probably can assume shift works. Maybe it's just reset is the only thing that doesn't. So I think I worked it out. It's working reliably now. There's actually the contact inside this connector that had just been bent in quite a bit, so I just got a tiny screwdriver and just bent that contact back out, and now we appear to be making contact. So as messy and disgusting as it is, we actually have a fully working keyboard now, which is pretty amazing. I didn't think that would be possible, but there you go. So that would appear to wrap it up for the repairs of the 65XE. Obviously there's still a lot of work to do. I mean, it looks like it was pulled out of a river or something. I do want to thank Jason, aka Mr. Lurch of Mr. Lurch's Things, for actually officially donating this to me. So this is now mine, and it's going to become my problem. He said he was more than happy with his Atari 800 XL, which I don't blame him for. So coming up in the future, we're going to do a full restoration of this, see how close we can get it to looking new. The badge might be a bit of a challenge because, yeah, the Atari bit's faded. And yeah, the case is very yellowed compared to the underside. We've got keys that are falling off, so still a lot of work to do here, but at least it officially works at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't have any games to test it. That'll also come up in the future episodes, along with probably some mods. So keep an eye out. We're going to have restoration mods and obviously give it a good test with some games. But until then, thanks for watching the Retro channel. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this. You can hit the like button or hit the dislike button if you thought it was crap. Either way, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and thanks for watching. See ya.